everyone, Brian again here with Practical Prep TX, and today I'm making a video on me being a conservative going green. So a conservative is going green and using solar. Wow. Now, when I first mentioned I was going to put a solar system on my home, I did have some people I know who are like, wait, why are you doing that? That's just only what green crazies do. And uh, and I did used to think that. So, and that is a stereotype that still is around in the conservative movement. But I also don't believe in cutting off your nose to spite your face either. And so I used to believe that, and I still don't think that just putting solar panels on your roof that feed the grid is a very good idea. I don't want my home to become a power source for the state or the utility company. If I'm going to make power, I want it to be mine and nobody else has access to it. So once I found out that you can do these off-grid type of systems where you don't have to ask for permission from the power company, and there is a few inverters that will allow you to do that, and I've got one of them, and I can go into which inverter that is and how I did my system, and I will be making a video on that here shortly as well. And I'll show a couple pictures of the different products I use just so you guys can kind of get a reference for it and check them out. But once I found out that you can do this off-grid type of system where I don't have to plug these into the grid, and in fact, I don't even want to sell power back to the grid. I don't want them to know I even have these. I want to be completely independent from the grid. That's why I am doing this. It's for independence. And you know, don't get me wrong, I want to be a good steward of what God's given us, of the earth. But it's also not a religion to me either. So as a byproduct, yes, I do. Am I going green? Well, I guess I am. But am I doing it for the purposes of the whole green movement? No, I'm not. So why did I want to do this? Well, our grid in Texas, and in fact, the grid everywhere, it seems like across the nation now, is just getting more and more unstable. Outages seems to be lasting longer, and our government continues to make stupid decisions on shutting down coal-fired plants, natural gas plants, and they're not replacing it with other reliable sources of energy. So they're replacing it with wind and solar, which they're just not reliable. When you need them the most, they tend to not work. So I wanted to take matters into my own hands and build my own system. So that is what I did. And again, for me, it's about complete independence. And it is expensive to build a system as big as mine. My costs were about $35,000, and that was for all the materials. And this is going to cover my whole house, basically, where, there may be a month during the winter time when I am not generating enough power where I'm going to have to either flip the switch to go back to the grid, or I'm going to need to run a generator most likely, unless I get more batteries, which batteries are really expensive. So right now I've got about an $11,000 battery bank, and that's 31 kilowatt hours. And that's enough if I'm conservative to get me through 2 days if we have just, huge amount of clouds. That's being conservative. And my house, I have got all the appliances that make it really energy efficient as well. So for instance, my hot water heater is a heat pump hot water heater, which is about 3 to 4 times more energy efficient than your standard electric. I'm about to install a heat pump air conditioning system, and heat. So I'm not using your standard, big giant 3-ton home unit that, just can burn your battery bank in a very short amount of time. I also live on 15 acres. So I bought that property specifically because, well, I wanted to live a lot more simply, be away from the city, away from HOAs that control every aspect of my life. And when I initially put a home in out there, I got a huge propane tank because all there was an electrical connection. So we had no propane, no natural gas, no internet. So electricity was the only utility. So I put in a huge propane tank so I could last a really long time. And I had all propane appliances, basically, my oven, our heater. Let's see, what else? We had a propane hot water heater. And when COVID hit, it was really tough to get propane deliveries. And we saw propane skyrocket. Now, the prices have came down a little bit since then, but it also got me thinking that, you know what? I want my whole house to be electric now. Now, that sounds crazy from a conservative, right? But frankly, look at the way our government is treating, and corporations and the culture in general is treating the oil companies. Anybody who drills, they're treating it like it's their public enemy number one. And I don't see our culture changing anytime soon. So what I'm trying to do is get ahead of that. I'm trying to become like not dependent on fossil fuels, on propane at all when it comes to at least my home. So I'm making everything electric so I can run all that off of my solar system. So in regards to my propane oven, well, I ended up actually getting these induction stove cooktops, just so I can put right on top of my gas stove, and we can cook on that via electric. And they're actually really low energy usage as well because they're an induction stove. So check them out. Check out induction cooktop, and you can get some, you know, on Amazon. They can sell either 1 burner or 2 burners, and you can cook for really actually low power usage as well. So it doesn't drain my batteries at night when there's no sun, or at least it drains it a lot less. Our heater, we're about to install, or going to be installing heat pump units, mini splits in our home all over. So that is going to get us completely off propane there as well. And our oven is the one that we do have a little toaster oven that we can run on electric, but that won't fit like, you know, if you're going to cook something big, like a cake, for instance. So for that, I ended up I got a little small propane tank where it's like about 120 gallon tank. And I'm going to try and just run off that. And apparently that should last me a few years for just my oven alone when we need to use that. Actually, I think they said it would be about 7 or 8 years it would last me with just my oven. So I'm still going to be a little bit dependent on propane, but in the whole scheme of things, if I needed to, if we couldn't get a propane delivery or we couldn't get propane, it was just so astronomically expensive that I just didn't want to do it. I could live without it. And that's where I want to be. I'm still going to use the grid occasionally just to charge the batteries. The batteries are low. But again, that's my backup. The propane is my backup. My main source of energy is my solar and my battery bank. That's where I wanted to be. And the inflation numbers just came out for February 2023. And the year-over-year inflation or rise in prices in electricity was like 12 to 13%. And it was like 15% the year before. I don't see that changing. So I do think electricity is going to get more and more and more expensive, and I can produce it on my own. Hey, all the benefit to me, right? So, and in regards to cost, now I'm not super wealthy. I ended up actually getting a loan for all the materials for the solar, and I think the loan's going to cost me like $350 a month, right in that area, and I'm going to save about $200 a month on my electric bill. So how the numbers break down is really for $150 a month, roughly, and a little bit more in my own cash that I put in as a down payment, but not much. I am going to be pretty much self-reliant in regards to energy. And if the grid completely went down, I mean, doesn't matter to me. I can live my life the exact same way I already do right now. Granted, I'll have to adjust, like when I dry my clothes, like our clothes dryer is electric and those use like 4,500 watts when they're running. So I want to make sure I'm doing that when the sun's out. So those are the little things, the little lifestyle adjustments you have to make when you go solar like this, at least with an off-grid system and a battery bank. So that is the reason I'm going green. Not because it's a religion to me. In fact, I believe the green movement is pretty much a scam and a way for government and politicians to pay off people and become rich themselves, pay off their donor base. A lot of these solar companies that got loans went bankrupt. They're all politically connected. They all got rich in the process. So really, I think the movement is a sham. I am not a part of that movement in any way. I am doing this 100% because I want to be self-reliant, and I will use that technology, if that's the case, to make that happen. So, so let me show you some of the products I use right now for my system, and you can just go ahead and take a look at that. Actually, I'll have a link in the description. I am a affiliate of this solar company where you can get the same exact materials. Actually, you can get it in a package deal from this company, and they'll ship it right to you. They also have, I believe, they partner with a third-party financer that you can use as well if you want to get a loan on that. So, and I do have a coupon code or a discount code as well, since I'm an affiliate. They let me give you I think it's $101 off on orders over $1,000 if you use the coupon code Brian101. So BRIAN 101. I'll have a link in the description there where you can click on that, and it'll take you right to the exact materials that I have in my system, so you can check those out as well. Here's just a quick sneak peek of my hybrid considered solar system here. That hybrid because I can be connected to the grid or I can be completely off grid. And it's a very simple system. This sol-ark 15K is the inverter. And you'll notice here you don't see a bunch of breakers and wires and fuses and crazy bird nest of wires all over here. That's because this thing has it all contained in it. It has the full-on breakers for your batteries. It has the on and off switch disconnect right here for the solar panels. It has the big 200 amp disconnect here switch. So this thing is awesome. And there's my battery bank, 32 kilowatt hours. I use the EG4 LL batteries. They are a heck of a deal when you compare other batteries on the market. And these things do awesome. In fact, I'll just do a quick explanation of this thing here. So you can see right now, as of right now, I don't have my solar panels hooked up yet. And I'm going to have them hooked up this weekend, at least one string. And those hook into right here. There's 3 different charge controllers on here. So they'll hook up there. So you'll see I don't have anything coming in from the solar panels. I'm pulling 2.95 kilowatts from the grid. My house is using 2.63 kilowatts. And my batteries are pulling just a little bit just to stay topped off at 100%. And how this works is the power comes from the meter, which is a little ways away from my house, and it feeds from down here right up into this main disconnect. This is just an on and off switch right here that I can just completely disconnect myself from the grid if I wanted to, which I do want to, but I'm not yet until I have the solar panels hooked up. But I can do it right now and just show you how I go off batteries. And you might see the lights just flicker just a bit. Let's see. Yeah, you can see a little bit of a flicker there. Now I am 100% off grid, just like that. That's how easy it is. And you'll see now, there you go. My batteries show I'm pulling 2.54 out of my battery bank right now. So that is running my whole house. So how it works is it goes in the grid, power goes into here, and then it has some fusible disconnect there. It goes down into this gutter where all the wires, just makes it easy to put the wires in to the sol-ark here. And they come in right here. And this is hot, so I'm not going to touch any of those because I'd be shocked. Because this is electricity, live electricity. It goes into there, so that's where the power from the grid goes into, but right now I'm not using that power. So power comes from here and goes down. Those are basically feeding my 200 amp panel in my house. So that goes down to the ground and feeds a panel behind this wall over here, which is my main panel to my house, 200 amps. So this can feed a 200 amp panel. You can see how big these wires are. This is the only inverter on the market that I know of that you can put in between your meter and your panel. So you can basically, once you go off grid like I can use any load on my panel, provided my system's big enough to be able to support that. And this system is, at least for a period of time, until I run out of my battery bank. So that's how cool this system is. And then I can even plug in a generator right here into those little slots. And I can program this thing to where when the batteries get to a certain discharge, 20%, it'll automatically turn on my generator and charge my battery bank. But for me, I'm just programming it where once the batteries get to about 30%, it automatically goes back to grid if I need to charge the batteries, and then shut off immediately and go right back to off-grid mode. So that's what's cool about this inverter. You can be on-grid or off-grid simultaneously. And I'll put a link in the description to buy this sol-ark. It's hard to find. I had to look around a lot to find this where I could buy it myself rather than have an installer come out and do it for me. Because if you pay for installers on this stuff, guys, I mean, it's astronomically expensive. This is probably a $100,000 system, and I'm doing it for $35,000 because I'm doing it all myself. And this sol-ark makes it a heck of a lot easier because you don't have all these crazy breakers and fuses you got to install all over the place that you see in other people's systems all over the wall. And you're like, God, looks like a mad scientist designed this thing. Well, not this one. This one, everything's there for you. This little yellow wire here goes right to my battery bank, and it tells how much the batteries are charged.
But the beautiful thing about these EG4LLs, they're already made, programmed to hook up with sol-ark like easily. So this was such a breeze to install. And I'll probably do more videos on it, but just want to at least give you guys a look at this system. And in the link in the description, you can actually get this package right here with, I think it doesn't have quite as many batteries, but you can add batteries if you wanted to fill up this whole rack. And they sell this whole rack of 6 batteries here with the batteries in it. Or you can just buy them with 4 batteries, I think, if you wanted to start out small, and then you can add from there. And these batteries are just awesome. I can click on the LCD screen here and it'll light up and it'll give you all the specs on the batteries and everything. It's really cool. So that's my system in a nutshell, and then the heat pump hot water heater here, so I can actually run that on solar because it doesn't use that much energy, which I'll do another video on that as well. But just wanted to give you guys a quick sneak peek of the sol-ark 15K and what it can do. All right, so here's a quick peek of my solar panel racks that I'm building here. There's going to be 60 total panels, 320 watts each. I think that puts me right around 19,200 or so kilowatts. So there's going to be 12 of these racks of 5. Just made out of pressure treated 2x4s painted. I don't get a lot of wind out here, so I'm not really worried about anchoring them down. I've had some 40-mile-an-hour gusts on these things. They don't even budge with how wide the base is on them. But just a sneak peek. I'll have another video here when I'm all done with these.
All right, well, that's it for now, everyone. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. Thank you for watching these videos and keeping this channel going. I really appreciate all of you. If you could like this video, share it with others, and definitely subscribe, I would appreciate it. All right, thanks, everyone.